Welcome. Thank you all for being here today. It is a pleasure to stay in this space with you and talk about emotional regulation today. We'll make it a simplified version of emotional regulation and see if we can also teach us something new to help us emotionally regulate. I am going to get us started with what emotional regulation is. Let's start by talking about what emotional regulation is not. Emotional regulation is not controlling your emotions. There's a lot of us in this room that were brought up in a generation where we're weak if we show our emotions and cry or even get angry. Um, and we want to talk about that today because that is not emotional regulation. That is emotional shutdown, emotional stuffing. When we stick our emotions aside and don't show them or talk about them, that is not healthy. So, just to start, what emotional regulation means is not controlling your emotion. It's understanding what's happening inside of you. That's the most important thing in order to get to being able to regulate yourself is to know and be able to think about what it is you're feeling and able to say that and speak it out loud. Otherwise, it's going internal and there will be consequences like chest pain, stomach and nausea, headaches, if we go internal as opposed to talking about things, understanding what's happening inside of ourselves, helping your body feel safe again. That's emotional regulation. And it's not as easy to do when we're in a situation that we may be reacting to. It's hard to make your body feel safe. We'll talk later about what to do when you're in those situations not feeling safe to get to emotional regulation. Responding instead of reacting. That's the core thing you're going to hear today about emotional regulation is that we want to learn to teach our mind and body to respond, not react with those symptoms that we can have in a situation. So, we're going to talk about how to emotionally regulate when we feel dysregulated in a situation. What happens in the body? I love this part. Our brains protect us ultimately. They protect us, they guard our memories of certain things. Um, they help our brain's alarm system turns on when we go through some dysregulation. So, what does that look like? That might be the rapid heartbeat. That might be the intrusive thinking that starts. That might be the digestive system that feels bubbly and gurgly inside. Those are some of the physical symptoms that we feel when our brain's alarm system goes on and we're dysregulated. Thinking brain goes offline. How many people lose memory in really stressful situations? Or if they're in ongoing stressful situations, the way the brain protects us is it shuts down certain parts of our amygdala and our left brain kind of grows over it, if you will, and it blocks our memory. That's where our memory is stored. So we have a hard time remembering when we are in distress or dysregulated. We don't remember. We'll lose track of things. Our body shifts into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right? So some of us are going to come out with our fisticuffs. Some of us are going to run for the hills. Some of us are going to freeze. And some of us are going to try to people please and make things better in that moment. But that's what happens when we are dysregulated and reacting to a situation. Let's take it a step further. What research shows us is a few things. Naming emotions can calm the amygdala. Just saying what it is. I feel scared. I'm angry. I'm so sad. Just naming that emotion is the first step of awareness so that you have the opportunity to know what to do about it. If you don't know what's going on inside of you, you're going to stay dysregulated. You're not going to level out. Once you name it, it starts the process of being aware of what's going on in your mind and body and how to respond to it instead of react. So, slow exhale activates the vagus nerve. And we've demonstrated this before. We're going to do it again. One of my favorite exhales that we should use when we're in a moment that helps us in an instant regulate is the long sigh with the yawn behind it, where we're letting out some vocals as well. So we take a deep breath in, another short breath at the end of the deep breath, and then we let it out. I'll show you. We're going to go like this. Just like that. And it'll change things in an instant for you and help get you back on the responding and regulated mode. Grounding through senses. We can look around and we can name some things that we see, some things that we hear, some things we can touch, taste, and that grounds us back into our present moment. We can co-regulate. This is one of my favorites because I'm others motivated. We can co-regulate and stabilize with somebody else. And just a touch, a simple touch, a hug, a gaze, I'm present is co-regulating. This is what we learn from science. This is evidence-based things that we can do to help ourselves when we feel dysregulated. What it looks like in real life. What is dysregulation? Oh, goodness. Everything from tight chest or fast heartbeat. Those are definitely mine. Feeling shut down or foggy. The thinking stops. You can't even imagine where you're supposed to go or what your next step is or what you were doing. We can get very forgetful when we are dysregulated. We generally are going to get a little more irritable. We're going to be overwhelmed. We're not going to be able to gather our thoughts when we're in that reactive process, that situation that's causing dysregulation. We will definitely have trouble thinking clearly, thinking about your next step, thinking about things logically when we're dysregulated is extremely difficult, possibly even impossible at times. Wanting to withdraw away or fix things, everything, those are dysregulation alerts to go, oh, dang, I need to stop and figure out what is going on inside of me. Okay, why does this matter? If we know, if we can name this, if we can isolate an event and be able to say, oh my gosh, I'm scared, I'm sad, I'm angry, we feel less shame. We feel more clear and we communicate better. Huge for co-regulation. We communicate better. We have more emotional safety when we know what's happening inside our head and mind and inside of our body. We'll have stronger relationship because we'll be able to say to somebody, I'm angry. Here's why I'm angry. And that process allows us to start regulation again. I would like to introduce Amanda McCoy to come up and give us an example of dysregulation and some tools she uses to self regulate, to emotionally regulate when she comes to these spaces and identifies and becomes aware and names the things that she feels dysregulated in so that she's starting on her emotional regulation path to respond and come out of reaction. Amanda, would you join us?
Thank you. I actually had a testimonial planned for the cap therapy. I put it on there, but it's still going to be applicable. Um, I have found myself neck deep into the sandwich generation recently with um, caring for 3-year-old and a 5-year-old and a dad who's 79 who has the start of dementia. So it's been just straight up overwhelming. And I've been using that word a lot. You're talking about naming. Naming has really helped me a lot lately. Just people ask me how I'm doing. I'm like, overwhelmed, angry, sad. Those are probably the primary feelings lately. But that has helped. And I've actually been in my car before recently saying to myself out loud, what do I feel right now? And I say, I feel angry. This is all out loud. I feel angry. And I deserve to feel angry because these are things that are X, Y, and Z are justifiably triggering things. And that has helped just to tell myself, like, okay, yeah, I have the right to be angry. I have the right to feel overwhelmed. I have the right to be sad, et cetera, et cetera. Um, but deep breathing, always a thing. Even when you just did it there for a second and I did it, just took a second to felt that everything kind of lift a little bit. And I will say that my 5-year-old, the yawn really helps her. She doesn't want to do a deep breath. I don't want to do a deep breath. I go, then just do a yawn. And she'll do a yawn. I can see her physically just relax. So the yawn is a good one. Um, but ketamine therapy uh, has helped me recently to deal with some grief I didn't know I had uh, in there. But uh, the other part of that is that my most recent experiences with ketamine, my treatments, I felt an overwhelming sense of being cradled, like held. And I'm taking care of so many people.
Co-regulate. Co-regulate.
I'm choking on my own tears. Yeah, taking care of so many people. It was a moment where I felt like the universe was taking care of me. I felt held. I felt cared for. I felt loved. And it was just a place of peace. I didn't have to fix anything. So you said the fixing. Uh, I recently heard someone say something about being addicted to the fix. It's like there's like I guess I'd probably a dopamine hit from fixing something for someone, you know. And that just resonated with me. And I thought, oh my God, am I addicted to the fix? Am I addicted to fixing things? And just the ability to let that go and just be in a space where I'm not fixing anything for anyone. I'm being cared for. I'm being held. So lovely. And the best part about that is it's not temporary. It's not temporary. Uh, I can take that feeling with me into my everyday life lately. And if I'm at work and I'm feeling overwhelmed, or, you know, my dad's pulling me upset about something, um, I can, and I have lately just taken a breath and stepped out of that moment and felt that feeling that I had at that moment of just being cradled by the universe. And I thought, oh, it was a relief. And I don't usually like to quote these things, but like this too shall pass concept of it's it'll pass. Like we'll move on to something else, and it'll be a memory of a situation, but uh, I can get through it, and it is going to work itself out too. I don't actually have to fix everything, but the idea is that these tools have really helped me to bring that peace into my everyday life and not have to just be in that fight or flight. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. What I would like to do now is have Allison come up, and she's going to demonstrate some emotional regulation tools that we've kind of hit on, that Amanda hit on in her testimony, and close us out with some things to do to get back to emotional regulation. Allison, thank you. Our mental health care nurse practitioner is here to close us. Thank you. Let me pause. There we go. Just go for your welcome. Okay.
Awesome. All right. Yay. Okay. Commercial break. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for 100 Mile Brewery. Amazing, right? We've been here for how long? Many months. All right. So I'd like to just I guess to preface as a mental health nurse practitioner, I prescribe a lot of medication. But I've gotten into the habit now of instead of increasing a dose, we need to implement some of our tools for emotionally regulating ourselves. Because I think that it often people might be too quick to increase a dose because they don't like what they're feeling or they don't know what they're feeling. And so utilizing these skills that we'll talk about can help determine whether it's something that you are resisting by your own volition of being able to do it yourself, or you're choosing not to and you're relying on medication to help you through that. So, first of all, right, being in contact with our body and understanding that connection that's been discussed is really important, and understanding what the physiology that occurs. So, first and foremost is just slowing the body, right, or just go, whew, but really pausing, whether it's through breath, the lengthening of the exhale, um, dropping your shoulders, right? Just unclenching your jaws, hand on chest or belly. I can't emphasize how invaluable and blessed it is to just put your hand on your heart and just have a moment, right? Because that really is a connection of what we're looking for in being able to just be present with our body. And a lot of people I feel just are not open or willing, but doing so can really put you back into your body. It's, okay. And as we discuss, name what is happening. If you can't name it, you can't tame it. I feel overwhelmed. My chest is tight. I feel shut down. It reduces the alarm of responses. The other thing I think that people, generally speaking, may not really understand is that sometimes the physiology of anxiety or overwhelm, the physiology or sensations come on and then you can think about it. Sometimes people are disconnected from the mental thinking and then also what they're feeling in their body. So this is definitely one of those of being able to put those feelings in our body to be able to really use these tools. Orient to the room, look around, name 3 to 5 things that you see, tell the brain, I'm here, I'm safe, I'm enough. This can be also about grounding, right? Pulling us back into the present moment, being able to assess where we are in the current instead of being out in a trauma response or some other feeling or emotion that's going on for yourself. I think this also is about not just about here and I'm safe enough, but it's also a tool to bring you again into the present moment. Because often our emotional dysregulation can come from future events and past experiences. But in the present moment, there's nothing really going on that we are in fear of or desiring. So that is important because it's putting you in time and place in the present moment. Choose one supportive action: drinking water, step outside, stretch, ask for a pause, write one sentence about what you need, taking your shoes off and putting them on the earth, not the concrete or anything else. Being able to, again, whew, right, put our hands on our body and just take a deep breath and bring ourselves back into that space. Connect with someone safe. Can you sit with me? I don't need fixing, just presence. Co regulation is a biological need. In the group, in the community that I work with both adults and children. And I find this second note here about I don't need fixing, I just need presence. Often adolescents and children just need someone to be there, to be present, and not to be fixing anything. I just need you to hear what I have to say. I didn't come for you to fix it. I don't need your answers. I don't need you to respond. Well, when I was your age, I would have blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I just need you to hear me. I just need you to hear me out. All right, practice moment. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to get comfortable for a second. So just, whew, uh, all right. So this is a 1 minute grounding practice. And actually, I'm sure 1 minute sounds long, right? But at the same time, it doesn't have to take a minute. These are things that really are engaging you. And when you do them over time, it doesn't necessarily need to take that long. For example, when you practice something when you need it, it's effective. But we're also talking about prevention here. So there are ways to prepare yourself, right? When you're going to go into something that feels a little too anxiety driven or a little too, you're going to go meet someone that you're a little fearful of, you're going to go seeking an engagement, things like that that you can just prepare. So 1 minute grounding practice. So what we're going to do is there's a slow exhale, right? I think we did like a so to breathe, like right, and then like that slow, and then are we gonna do a little behind it? Okay, so or whatever sound you are called to make. All right, so just breathing in, right? Slow. Okay, and then name one feeling that you're feeling. You can look around the room and choose one supportive action. So I'm just curious, what would be a supportive action that people would choose to do? Drink water, take off your shoes, feet on the ground. Okay, there we go. And it's interesting. I think just standing here talking about these seem so simple, right? but at the same time, they are very effective. I just feel that in simplicity, sometimes we overlook that for that it's not effective. And in this day and age, I feel like we need to do as much as we possibly can to support our emotional regulation outside of medicines, and or not taking care of ourselves. All right. So, am I handing this over to Shannon? Okay. Well, I'm thankful for being here today, and I'm going to hand this back to Shannon. Yes. Right?
Thank you, Allison. Thank you all for being here. It was fun to talk about emotional regulation. Sometimes I think in therapy, we take these simple practices for granted. And a lot of times we do just jump into medicine or raising doses, things like that. I know for many years until I met one of my dear friends, a naturopath doctor, Dr. Veronica Boyer, I used to think of these things as woo woo or a little on the weird side until she helped me practice some of these things and made them realities for me, understanding that in order to emotionally regulate myself, those deep breaths, the eye gazing and grounding, the grounding period were really foreign to me. So I'm super excited that we're here talking about these things and that I'm taking them seriously for my own life. I have definitely utilized the long exhale. I've utilized the grounding, the breathing. Oh my goodness. It's not woo woo. Actually, it is evidence based, and there's a lot of research to back it up. So I want to thank Dr. Veronica Boyer for bringing me into this space and helping me to see how I can utilize these things both for myself and in my office and counseling practice. So we're going to close today just by saying, you guys, you're not broken. You're reacting at times when you're dysregulated, and learning how to emotionally regulate is the key. Figuring out how to ground yourself back into your present moment and to be able to look around, like Amanda was saying, and go, I'm safe here. Like Allison demonstrated, there's nothing here that I need to react to right now. I can be present. I can breathe. I can see friends. I can see family, and I'm safe. And I will go home being much less anxious than what I started prior to being here, prior to speaking and talking. And I respect that. I have a lot of respect for that. So thank you for joining us today. Come back. We're here the first and third Sunday of every month. We're growing our population. Bring your friends and family. Every topic, every week is pertinent to your emotional well being, and we'd love to see you. Thank you. Have a nice day.